Once your Jeep crosses 100,000 miles, the maintenance rules change, and following the same routine you used when it was new could actually cost you thousands. Lifetime fluids, 10,000-mile oil changes, and overlooked $30 parts can turn into transmission or engine failures. Here are the maintenance mistakes high-mileage Jeep owners keep making, and exactly what you should be doing instead. The first mistake starts with two words your Jeep dealer loves to say, and they are lifetime fluid. Every modern Jeep with a ZF 8-speed automatic gets sold with this pitch. The factory says you never have to change the transmission fluid. Fill it once, forget it forever. That sounds amazing, doesn't it? Except ZF itself, the German company that actually builds the transmission, disagrees with their own customer. ZF's own service document says to change that fluid every 80 to 120,000 kilometers, or after 8 years at the very latest. In American miles, that's roughly 50 to 75,000. The company that made the transmission is publicly telling you the opposite of what Jeep is telling you. So who do you think knows better? Now watch what happens when you believe the Jeep lie. The fluid slowly turns from clean red to burnt brown, stops cooling the clutches, and the valve body starts sticking. One day at 130,000 miles, your Jeep shifts hard, throws a check engine light, and you're staring at a $3,000 used replacement. An owner on the Durango forum said it perfectly. His ZF 8-speed died from pure neglect because he trusted the lifetime fluid lie. $3,000 later, he had a used unit installed. A $50 drain and fill with the correct Mopar fluid, done every 50,000 miles, would have saved him. But even owners who try to do the right thing mess up the next step. They ask their local shop to flush the transmission. Please, don't ever do that. Never run a high-pressure flush on a neglected high-mileage automatic. Do a drain and fill only. It swaps just the pan fluid and it's low risk. A flush can rip loose old clutch material and destroy a transmission that was still running fine. So the rule is simple. Every 50,000 miles, drain and fill, correct Mopar fluid, never a flush. The next mistake sits inside the engine, and it's your engine oil. Modern Jeeps all come with an oil life monitor. It'll happily tell you to keep driving until 10,000 miles. That number was designed for a brand new Jeep with a clean engine and fresh seals. Your 100,000-mile Jeep isn't that Jeep anymore. Push oil that long past 100,000, and you'll wake up the two most feared noises in Jeep world: the Pentastar tick and the Hemi tick. On the 3.6 Pentastar, the tick comes from tiny rocker arm bearings that live on clean oil pressure. Stretch your oil change, let the oil sludge up, and those bearings start to grind. That noise means your engine is dying in slow motion. For the 5.7 Hemi, the tick comes from the MDS lifters, the ones that shut down 4 cylinders under light load. Sludged oil clogs the tiny passage feeding them, the lifter goes flat, the camshaft grinds, and now you're looking at $2,000 to $5,000 for the fix, or $8,000 plus for a full long block. So the fix is dumb simple. Change your oil every 5,000 miles, not every 10. Use the correct spec, MS6395, in either 0W20 or 5W20, depending on your year. Never use 5W30 in a Pentastar or a Hemi, because those MDS lifters can't handle it. Then there's the $30 part almost nobody replaces. It's called the PCV valve. When it fails on a Pentastar, it sucks engine oil right up through the intake. Your Jeep starts burning a quart every 1,000 miles. Everyone blames worn piston rings, and others point at the oil scraper. Sometimes it's just a stuck PCV. One owner replaced his for $30, and his oil consumption stopped completely. $30 saved him from a rebuild quote. While you're doing that 5,000-mile oil change, swap the PCV too. It's the cheapest engine save on the whole vehicle. Right after your engine, the next system that fails is your cooling system. The 3.6 Pentastar has 3 parts that fail like clockwork, and every one of them is plastic. First is the water pump. It has a weep hole. When the seal starts to fail, coolant drips from that hole. If you catch it early, it's a $700 to $900 repair. Ignore it, and the pump seizes, throws the belt, and now you've cooked the engine. Second is the plastic thermostat housing. Heat cracks it wide open. It throws a check engine light for code P0128, which means the thermostat is stuck open. That housing sits right above the water pump, so mechanics keep thinking it's a pump leak. The replacement part is $50 to $150. Third is the plastic oil filter housing, buried in the valley between the cylinder heads. The whole housing cracks when someone tightens the oil filter too hard. Now you've got oil pouring down the back of the block. The permanent fix is an aftermarket aluminum housing for around $80. Do it once, never think about it again. But the real cooling mistake owners make is even simpler. The mistake is coolant color. Pre-2013 Jeeps use HOAT coolant, which is orange, and the Mopar spec is MS9769. 2013 and newer Jeeps use OAT coolant, which is purple, spec MS12106. Mix them and the anti-rust protection falls out of the mix. They form a gel that can't move heat at all. That gel clogs the heater core, wrecks the water pump impeller, and cooks the engine from inside. The owner's manual literally warns you in writing that mixing coolants causes engine damage. So please, if there's one line you remember, it's this. Never top up with universal green. Only HOAT for pre-2013, only OAT for 2013 and newer. Quick pause. If you want to get more out of your Jeep and keep it running for years to come, check out my 500,000-mile Jeep blueprint. You can grab your e-copy through the link in the description below. Now, back to the video. Then there's the wobble that has its own name, and Jeep people call it death wobble. Every Wrangler and Gladiator owner knows this term. Death wobble is when you hit a bump on the highway at 70 miles per hour, and suddenly your entire front end starts violently shaking side to side. Your steering wheel yanks left and right on its own. The whole Jeep feels like it wants to launch off the road. If you've never felt it, count yourself lucky, and those who have will never forget it. The scary part is what causes it. Death wobble isn't one big broken part, but a bunch of small, worn parts working together. The real culprits are your track bar bushings, ball joints, tie rod ends, and control arm bushings. Any one of them plays with a tiny bit of extra slack, and that's all it takes at 70 miles an hour. The single most common trigger is a loose track bar bolt at the axle. It backs out a few threads, and the whole front axle can shift under load. FCA's fix for years was to sell you a stronger steering damper. That damper doesn't cause death wobble, and it doesn't cure it. It only masks the symptom. Owners called it a Band-Aid for a decade. Then, in 2020, a class action called Reynolds versus FCA got filed. FCA had identified around 192,000 owners whose Jeeps were showing the problem. The settlement extended the warranty on the front suspension damper to 8 years or 90,000 miles, and paid people back for repairs they'd already done. Attorneys walked away with $3.95 million in fees. So how do you prevent it? Every 10,000 miles, physically check your track bar bolt torque, look for tears in your control arm bushings, and grab your tires at 3 and 9 o'clock to test for ball joint play. A full front-end rebuild costs $2,000 to $3,000 if you let it go. 5 minutes of inspection costs you nothing. There's a fluid almost nobody remembers to change, and it lives in your transfer case and differentials. Your Jeep has a transfer case that splits power between the front and rear axles. That case is full of fluid you probably haven't changed in 100,000 miles. Older Wranglers and Cherokees use ATF plus 4. The newer WK2 and JL use a specific Mopar transfer case fluid, not ATF plus 4. Use the wrong stuff and you can wreck the clutch pack in a modern on-demand case. Then you've got two differentials, one at the front, one at the rear. These take gear oil, usually 75W90 for daily driving, or 75W140 if you tow heavy. This is where most owners mess up. If you've got a track lock limited slip rear, you also need 4 ounces of Mopar limited slip additive mixed into the gear oil. Skip it, and you'll hear chattering and clunking every time you turn a corner. But there's a catch. If you drive a Rubicon, your rear differential isn't a track lock. It's a Torsen gear type unit. Torsen doesn't need the additive. Dump it in anyway, and you can actually cause new problems. So double check your build sheet before you order fluid. The rule for a high mileage Jeep is service the transfer case and both differentials every 30,000 miles. And if you off-road or hit any water crossings, check your differential fluid the next day. If it looks milky and light brown instead of dark gold, water got in. Drain and refill immediately, or those pinion bearings will whine, then howl, then completely fail. New gears cost more than your car payment, while fresh fluid costs about 40 bucks and takes 20 minutes. One more mistake is fully electrical, and this villain has a name. It's the TIPM. The TIPM stands for Totally Integrated Power Module. It's the big electrical brain that runs almost everything on your Jeep. Fuel pump, wipers, horn, power locks, it all routes through this one box. And on the 2011 to 2013 Grand Cherokees, plus a lot of 2007 to 2014 Wranglers, it fails. The failure isn't a slow warning. It hits you all at once, and it hits hard. Your Jeep won't start out of nowhere. The fuel pump keeps running after you shut the engine off. Wipers turn on when nobody touched them. Random horn honks at 3 in the morning. NHTSA found the root cause was the relay contact spring getting warped from heat. Chrysler had to recall 188,000 2011 Grand Cherokees and Durangos, then another 338,000 2012 to 2013 vehicles. Then came the class action, Velasco versus Chrysler. The whole case finally settled in 2016. Chrysler had to cover free fuel pump relay repairs, extend the warranty on that relay to 7 years or 70,000 miles, and pay back owners who'd already dropped the $1,100 to $1,200 TIPM replacement bill. What you actually do if you hit this issue on a high-mileage Jeep is different. Don't pay $1,100 for a new TIPM. There's a fuel pump relay bypass kit that runs about $200 to $400. It reroutes the fuel pump around the failing internal relay and gets the vehicle running reliably again. It's the smart, high-mileage move. So if your Jeep starts doing weird ghost stuff, the TIPM is your prime suspect. Test it before you throw parts at random. The last big mistake is completely invisible, and it's your brake fluid and the frame rust eating your Jeep from the inside. Your owner's manual has one maintenance rule most people skip. Brake fluid every 2 years, no matter how many miles you've driven. That fluid absorbs water from the air over time. Old fluid boils at a lower temperature. Under heavy braking, coming down a mountain or towing, it can literally boil in the caliper and your brake pedal drops to the floor. On a high-mileage Jeep, old brake fluid also eats the ABS pump from the inside because moisture rusts the parts. That pump costs more than a used engine. A full brake fluid flush at a shop is about $100. So put it on the calendar. Every 2 years, no exceptions. Then there's the mistake that's actually eating your Jeep alive right now, and that's frame rust. JK Wrangler frames and the older TJ frames don't rust from the outside like a normal car. They rust from the inside out. Water gets in through the frame drain holes, sits, and rots the metal from within. Owners have reported pulling out half a solo cup of rust flakes from inside a single frame section. Everything looks fine outside. Meanwhile, the control arm mounts are turning into paper. FCA even had to recall about 100 specific 2018 four-door JKs under recall U27 for weak underbody rails that could loosen the rear seat mount. If you live in a salt state, you need to flush and treat that frame internally once a year with POR15 or a similar rust converter. Spray it inside every frame section. External undercoating alone can trap moisture and actually make it worse. Do it right, and your Jeep will outlive you. Now let's finish with the exact list you need, the stop and start rules for surviving past 100,000 miles. Stop trusting any fluid marketed as lifetime. Your transmission, transfer case, and differentials all need service, no matter what the dealer tells you. Never follow the oil life monitor out to 10,000 miles on a high-mileage engine. Change every 5,000 instead. Skip the universal green coolant and match your color and spec exactly. And stop, ignoring any tick, chirp, weep, or wobble. Every one of those noises is your Jeep telling you what's about to break. Now the start rules. Start draining and filling your transmission every 50,000 miles with the correct Mopar fluid. Service your transfer case and both differentials every 30,000. If you drive a Pentastar, replace that PCV valve. Swap your water pump early, around 80 to 90,000 miles, before it strands you. Check your track bar torque, ball joints, and tie rod ends every 10,000. Flush your brake fluid every 2 years. Do these things, and your Jeep will hit 200,000 miles without breaking a sweat. Ignore them, and it won't make it to 150. Now I want to hear from you. How many miles does your Jeep have, and what maintenance has made the biggest difference? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, Hit that subscribe button for more Jeep tips that could save you thousands. Then click the video on screen right now, and I'll see you in the next one.